is a very special day of UnderRadar. Today is a day where the creatures of the night will roam, and you will be sired into a family where blood is indeed thicker than water, in Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines. If someone mentions it, someone will reinstall it. That is the motto of the cult classic legend known as Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines, which was released on 2004 for the PC, published by Activision, and developed by the legendary Troika Games. This game is based off of White Wolf's tabletop role-playing game, Vampire the Masquerade, and it's set in the World of Darkness universe. This is a game that's main reason for being underrated and somewhat hidden by the masses was the technical bugs that sometimes made it unplayable to a majority. But fast forward to the present day, and we have unofficial patches that fix all the main technical issues the game had, as well as include mods to help improve the game even further. The story of Bloodlines follows you, the player, as you are embraced by a vampire and become one yourself. You are soon captured by the Camarilla and put on trial to be sentenced to death, where your sire was just executed before your eyes, until the leader, LaCroix, decides to respond to the intervention from the Anarchs by letting you live in exchange for being a hired helper. As a fledgling vampire, you'll meet a plethora of colorful characters as you travel through the streets of 21st century Los Angeles to uncover the truth behind a mysterious relic that may hold great power or great destruction to the vampire race. This game's story is by far one of the best examples of storytelling in video games I've ever experienced, and the lore of the World of the Darkness is such an incredible way of portraying the creatures of the night that I'm surprised it's not the Bible for how anybody should be approaching vampires and werewolves and such in other forms of media. One example of great storytelling is a quest early in the game where you run through a hotel that is haunted by ghosts, and through mostly gameplay, with a few creepy whispers here and there and some newspaper clippings, you figure out the backstory behind what happened in that hotel to make it haunted in the first place. As much as I want to gush about the story, I do want to leave it for you to discover on your own, but if I leave you with anything else before you go on your adventure, let it be this one simple request. Don't open it! The graphics for Bloodlines is in the 6th generation graphics, which is to say PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, and Dreamcast graphics. They look pretty good, but my issue is how clunky the animations look for this game. The walking looks awkward, the attacks look a bit strange, and it just looks like a mess to see at times. But it's something I can look past, because the story of the game and the characters keep me interested. Speaking of characters, the designs for enemies, bosses, backgrounds, and characters are really interesting to me. It's all got a gothic feel to it without being too annoying or depressing. And even in this gothic setting, you'll find some interesting characters that may contrast this theme.
Player, what's the score? How they hang? Good evening and all that commotion. Welcome to Fat Larry's Trucker Mac, the only store for all your needs after 10 o'clock. I am the proprietor and salesman of the month several years in a row. The ladies call me, oh God, but you can call me Fat Larry with a F-A-T, cause I know I got a weight problem, I just don't give a...
My only gripe about graphics in a game like this is just how the animations are done, and it's probably the lowest point in the game has aside from the bugs it had. But since the unofficial patches exist, I don't count the bugs at all. Vampire the Masquerade is very open about its gothic feel and its dark and grim tone, so it's no surprise the music would follow the same theme. But I never would have guessed how incredible the music of this game could be. They have some really great bands like Lacuna Coil and Darling Violetta, to name a few. They rock so hard in here that it was the whole reason I got into their music in the first place. Some more points to Bloodlines for introducing me to some killer music. The voice acting in this game is also beyond comprehension. This is another episode where I can praise the voice acting as they have a legendary cast, including Jim Ward, Gray Delisle, Phil Lamar, Steve Bloom, Jean DiMaggio, and one of my favorites who was introduced to me in this game, Karis Campbell, who does Dev at Night, a fun and interesting radio show that follows your exploits at times in the game.
You're up way past your bedtime, aren't you? Hope you've slipped into something comfortable. I know I have. If you're new to town or just new to this whole radio thing, you're listening to The Dev of Night. The only girl who will spend the night with you and leave first thing in the morning, guaranteed.
Never had I thought in a million years I would have the pleasure of playing a game with some of the legendary role models who got me aspiring to be a voice actor in the first place. All I'm missing is Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart, and Mark Hamill, and I'd end the episode right here and demand you get this game immediately. Hopefully if a sequel is ever made, maybe they'll consider bringing back the legendary cast, whilst adding a few more. Wink, wink. Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines is a first and third person role-playing game in the same vein as the Fallout series from 3 and beyond, as well as the Elder Scrolls series. You'll start the game by picking one of several vampire clans, each with their own unique powers and backgrounds. They are such an interesting take on vampire lore that I feel the need to share more, so let's list the available clans that you can play as. We've got the Traders, who are your typical television vampires that can persuade and seduce others to get what they want. The Bruja, who are anarchists and embrace whoever they please. The Gangrel, the most feral and predatory of all kindred. Nosferatu, who are tech-savvy ninjas able to hide in the shadows and obtain information you thought impossible to obtain. Tremere, who are the original blood mages, though they are the least reliable of the clans. Ventru, who are the most wealthy and noble of the clans. And finally, we have Malkavians, who talk to inanimate objects. But in all seriousness, they are a cursed clan who gain a degree of insanity upon their embrace. One great thing I love about this game is the character customization you have. While unfortunately you can't change the appearance of your kindred to make a very unique character, you still have your RPG stat sheet to give your character some points to define what type of gameplay you're looking for. Maybe you want to hide in the shadows and play it stealthy, or maybe you'd like to seduce others into letting you have your way, or maybe you just want to run in and tear things apart. There is something for everyone here. While you run across the streets of LA doing the bidding of your betters, sooner or later, after all that running and fighting, you'll get that urge that all kindred share. You'll have to find yourself a human and find somewhere private to take them so you can take the blood you desire. But beware not to take too much, or you'll end up killing your victim and being one step closer to becoming the beast and having to be put down. Speaking of the beast, let's talk about the game's key features, one of which is humanity, and the other is in the name of the game, the Masquerade. In the game, you are penalized for using certain kindred abilities in front of mortals. This includes when you feed upon a mortal too. Each time you are caught, you break the Masquerade, and after breaking the Masquerade 5 times, you'll draw the attention of vampire hunters, and it's over for you. Humanity is in the same vein as the Masquerade, where you have points you don't want to deplete, but with a few differences. One of these differences is that the more you lose humanity, the more aggressive your dialogue options become, and eventually you'll end up in a frenzied state, going on a killing spree and also violating the Masquerade as you go. Of course, you have many chances in the game to obtain more points for the Masquerade and humanity, so try to be a respectable kindred if you can resist the temptations of the beast. Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines is truly one of the best games of all time. I'm sure some of you are reinstalling it right now if you haven't started already from the time you opened this video. I've seen the news reports of a possibility of a sequel coming out in the future, so I'll cross my fingers and hope it happens, and if it's done by a team who can take care of it the way it deserves to be taken care of. Thank you guys for this incredible episode of UnderRadar, and once again, please, if you value your life and sanity, don't open it!